there's nothing quite like experiencing a sport, a venue, a club, hearing from a CEO to help you understand what it's really like. All right, my name's Jen Watt. I'm the General Manager of Commercial Operations and Partnerships for the Melbourne Cricket Club, and we're the ground manager of this incredible stadium, the MCG. I think the reason that people like coming to the MCG so much and come so often is because of the variety of sporting events that are held here. We have about 65 event days a year. We have AFL, we have international cricket, local cricket, domestic cricket. We also have special events. But we find that the MCG is actually part of people's identity in Melbourne, and they enjoy coming here. They enjoy bringing people to show them the events here. So it really comes down to, I think, the amazing content that the MCG and the show that we put on, but also how much people enjoy the experience of coming to the MCG. Who knows what the magic ingredients as to why Melbourne is such a renowned sporting destination, but I guess over time these incredible sporting events have built up. We've got this great stadium, we've been able to attract international events like the Australian Open, and I think people who live in Melbourne think sport's part of their identity. They love to play, they love to watch, they love to participate, and you just have to look at Australia's performance in things like the Olympics, where we perform way better than we should for our population. It's a sporting nation. So how do you take this amazing sporting culture of Australia and transplant it into other countries and cultures that perhaps aren't as passionate? I think if you can answer that question, you've probably got a pretty good and long career in sport ahead of you. But I actually think it's one of those things that it has to start at grassroots. You have to have a really easy, available and affordable way for kids to participate in sport. You have to have a government that sends messages to the community that sport is a great way to keep healthy, meet people, socialise. You then have to have lots of venues and again a government that wants to invest in venues so people have the access to sporting facilities. You then have to make sure that your TV stations are willing to broadcast sports, because you have to grow people's passion and love for it. You need a government that will from time to time bid for major events and bring Olympics or Commonwealth Games or World Cups to your country, so that people get excited by those sports and inspired to play. So I don't think there's a silver bullet. I think it has to be such a comprehensive and large strategy for your government, for your sporting bodies, for your broadcasters to grow that love of sport. So what would I say to women who are interested in entering the sports industry? All I can speak from is my personal experience and say that it is such an enjoyable environment to work in. We've all got to earn a dollar some way or another. Why wouldn't you want to do it in a context where you're basically creating people's most memorable moments, best experiences, where they come to watch the teams they love? Now, of course, there's an overlay that it's traditionally been a very masculine industry on lots of different measurements, broadcasting, commercialisation, senior leadership positions, but I would say that's changing. I haven't experienced any barriers, and I think the further we go on in time, the less and less they will be. So I couldn't speak more highly of the experience that I've had, and I do think it's becoming more and more attractive and enjoyable for females to work in. So my highlight of working in Australian sport is really hard to pin down to, often when people are asked this, they talk about an event or a moment or a goal or something. I would actually say it's the choices that it's given me in my life. I've had an incredible career. I've got to progress into positions of seniority. I've got to work in amazing places with athletes, with venues, meet incredible people. I've got to travel around the world. So I actually think it's the career that sport's given me that's my highlight, as opposed to the individual moments. They were all amazing, but when I reflect on 20 years of a career in one industry, I just think how lucky I am. So if something like UCFB had been around when I studied sport management, I would have jumped at the chance. The thought of experiencing sport organisations, sports stadiums, hearing from people who actually work in the industry, I feel like now with hindsight that would have given me such an advantage. It wasn't available when I studied sports administration, but I would think it would be a fantastic program if that's what someone was interested in now. So in terms of the ways there is to study and the diversity that you can incorporate into the degree that you're doing, I would say there are so many ways people are studying now and working, combining the two, studying multiple disciplines. And like with anything, if you've got diversity of any kind, diversity of thinking, diversity of background, diversity of academic study, you're going to be better placed than the person next to you. And I think if you can prove that you've been adaptable to different study techniques, whether it's online, in person, traveling around the world, in situ, in a classroom, then that goes to your character and ability to adapt. So I would encourage people to look at different ways to study, combining different disciplines. And I think that the sports industry is so vast now. There are as many jobs in sports media as there are in sports coaching. There's a really interesting stat in Australia that there are 6 times more accredited media covering AFL, our main sport, than there are covering politics. So why would a student benefit from coming on an international tour to see other sporting venues and clubs? I mean, all I can answer that is I wish I had that chance when I was studying sport management. It seems like such an incredible opportunity and experience. I feel like all of these students will have such a leg up on their colleagues studying locally and domestically. There's nothing quite like experiencing a sport, a venue, a club, hearing from a CEO to help you understand what it's really like. I mean, theory is one thing, but that practical experience will really stand these students in good stead. Why is Melbourne and Australia and all of our other cities such a great place to live and work? Well, I think that if you're interested in sport, it's a walk-up start because of the country's interest in sport, how much economic possibility there is for sport, but also as a place to live. We have an incredible standard of living and a great climate. And I think if you wanted to combine your passion for sport and have a great place to live, there would be no better place than Australia and perhaps Melbourne for you.